How we doing? Dex, Dolan's in the back. DTN, Living Life. I have been asked several times in reference to doing this job. Um, is it a good time to start and do transporting of RVs? Okay. So let's take a look at a couple of things. Um, yes, I have notes down here. I'm taking a look at. The thing about it happens to be is that no, if you ask one person, they're going to tell you come work and transport RVs. If you ask another person, they're going to say no, don't come transport RVs. Um, the reason for the two different things is controversial. So there's going to be some people that's going to agree with me, and some people that's going to disagree with me. Um, I'm going to tell you it's up to you. But realistically, uh, this is going to be my opinion, and this is going to be my opinion on why people say certain things. One, always remember that if you're coming to do a job that somebody else is doing, you're taking work from them. That's the way some people look at it. Some people look at it as that you're coming to help them. Okay? So it can be a questionable point either way, um, on whether or not you're actually taking work away from them by you coming and doing this job, or it can be questioned, or it can be looked at as you're coming to help them achieve getting a larger picture of a goal done for transporting RVs. Okay. Um, the notes that I did have for this are buried somewhere, and I don't know where they're at. So I'm going to go off of what I have written down here in the past. Okay. Um, yeah, as I read through some of this, the thing of it is that in 1980, 150,000 RVs were delivered. Okay, that's 1980. I think it was 2009, 200,000 were delivered. Only 50,000 more between 1980 and 2009. Now that gives a real big negative in there. But let's back up. In 1999, 325,000 were delivered. Okay. And then 2000, once again, election year, it dropped. I think it went down to 280,000. Um, and that brings up the next point. This is an election year. So are we going to hit the same amount that we hit last year, which was 300,000? Yeah. 2023, 300,000. Okay. Everybody's going to talk about how great the years were during COVID. Yeah, 2021, 600,000 RVs were delivered. The year before that, 2020, 400,000, 450, I think it was, that I looked up. Okay. And I might not be 100% accurate, but I guarantee I'm within 50,000. No, or I can assume I'm within 50,000 of what I'm saying. Alrighty. From the notes I took, because I remember writing them all down. But you know me, I'm naturally male and naturally old, so therefore I can forget things, um, or not remember things. The thing of it is that um, 300,000 was last year. Are we going to hit 300,000 again this year? I'm not too sure. I think that we're going to be sitting real close to it. So if you're coming to do this job might not be the turning point of making money that you thought you were going to make. Um, Drive away. Some of the lowest per mile going out from Horizon is 90 cents, and you pay for the fuel and drive away. So you're probably making about 45 cents a mile. Okay. After you do all your deductions and all the different things. Um, and towaway, there's three divisions. Driveway, towaway is the second one. Towaway, their lowest pay is $1.50 right this moment. I think a couple of them been even $1.45. So once you deduct all your deductions for maintenance on your truck, your insurance, your bill of lading insurance, and all those different things, you're going to be sitting somewhere around 60 cents to 65 cents a mile. Okay, for that low fee. Um, the the top rate in towaway happens to be $2.10, I think. So you just add that to it, and yeah, now you know that you can make that much more. Okay, so that's where you've got to really picture. No, your equation is going to be somewhere between point A and point B. 65 cents no a mile could go up as high as 95 cents a mile. All right. Um, I know there's a lot of drivers out there that says I don't do anything for lower than $1.70. I know there's a lot of drivers out there that says I don't do this, I don't do that. And the funny part is that I hear a lot of people saying, but then you get some people that will come right out and tell you, I picked this one up at 95 cents a mile on the way back because I just wanted to cover my cost of fuel. And they did. Okay. So your reload coming back might be even cheaper than what your outgoing load is. But if you're pulling something going back on your reload, then that means that you're still making money. And your outload now makes a little bit more. Think about it. All right. So this job does make money. Does it make the amount of money you want to make is the question. I talked to somebody that said they made $180,000 3 straight years, 20, 21, and 22. In 23, they made $120,000. They were complaining that they were only taking home, not the cost, but what they took home and claimed on internal revenue as income was $120,000, and they were throwing a fit. Okay. And then I've talked to other people that made $50,000, and they're thrilled to death. They made $50,000 take home. Okay. It's how you approach this job. If you drive with the intent of making money, then that means while you have a load and your wheels are rolling, you're making money. Right this moment, it's 5 o'clock in the evening. We've already pulled over. It's really 3 o'clock where we're at. We still have drive time that we can put in. We still have daylight we could drive. But we live under a condition that says that come around 5 o'clock, we look for a place to stop. And at the Loves that we're stopped at is adequate. It's not really noisy or anything to that effect, so it meets that. No, we're not listening to a reefer on a truck going on and off all night long. There will probably be a couple other vehicles that will pull up here and have generators. No, but yet their generators will be a low hum, so it won't be as bad as a reefer. And it's still cool here, so don't have to worry about being sweating and everything. But this is what I'm talking about. We drive at a leisure. We could push for another hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours, and get to another location that will be just as good of this, but might not have all the amenities that we have. Okay, we have a 24-hour bathroom. We have running lights all night long, so therefore we're not walking out into the dark and so forth. which I wouldn't mind walking out into the dark a couple of times, but no, we prefer to be where we have lighting so we can see what's going on, what's happening around the car, what's happening around the RV. No, so that way we know what's going on. But yeah, you have to pick and choose how often you're going to stop, how often you're going to make your run, how fast you're going to drive. Today we drove 66 miles an hour. Just to give you an idea, we're sitting, whereas our moving speed was 62 miles an hour and our total speed for today was 57 miles an hour. It's already dropped some more because we've been sitting for the last 30-40 minutes, but yeah, so yeah. It's one thing I like about my Garmin, because it'll let me know exactly what my moving speed is and what my all-day speed is. And yes, your all-day speed calculates how long you sat at the gas pumps, how long you sat to eat, how long you did this or that. So all that goes in. So there's a lot of information in reference to doing this job. If you're a person that keeps on the move, keeps going, and got the wheels rolling while you have a load, then you're making money. And yes, this job can make you a lot of money. Now, is there enough loads to do that, to do this job? I bet you this year we're going to sit somewhere around 300,000. I'm really thinking that we're going to only hit 250,000. And then next year we're going to bounce up to 400,000 or 350. Okay. After election's done and whoever walks into that office, then everybody's going to be saying, okay, economy's getting better because so-and-so's doing this or so-and-so's doing that. And I don't care who it is. But they're going to claim that it's getting better, and all of a sudden people are going to go out and start buying again. And yeah, that means that we'll end up with a flux of more people, which is the reason why I've been sitting back and saying that with the decline since 2021 of 600,000 down to 400,000 down to now 325,000, this is where we're going to sit at, and then we're going to start climbing back up. And I'm putting off buying a truck until the end of this year, so that way I have a good purpose of showing our income of climbing throughout the next few years. Okay. But at the same time, is this a good job for you? All right. Let's talk about why people leave this job. The number one reason, when I've talked to 4 different companies and about 8 different people, this is what I come up with. The number one reason, I found a job that kept me closer to home. I'm going to be cold and cruel. I'm going to be the meanest motherfucker you ever met. Wham, 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 wham. All right? You're not around your loved one. You're crying the blues. When you take a job that drives you across America, what did you expect? All right? If you didn't expect that, you thought you're going to be home every night or every third night. That's not the way this job works. I have not seen a YouTuber yet in this type of work, whether it be tow away or drive away or flatbed or a truck driver that said, I'm over the road truck driver, that said, I'm home before every third night. Shit don't happen that way. So, realistically, can you be away from home? That's your first question. You want to find that out? Real simple. Go get in your car and go stay in a rest area or somewhere to a campsite. Okay? Car camp. Sleep in your car for the next 5 nights and have no communication at home except by telephone. That's it. Okay? And then note that whatever you went through during that time, that's what you're going to go through for 2 weeks at a time. Or a week. Most people make it home around a week and a half. Between that 7 and 10 days, they usually try to make it home. but they only make it home for one night, and then they're back out and running. And then they get stuck somewhere in their 34-hour reset. Yeah, that means we got truckers' logs that we got to keep. And if you hit 34-hour reset and you live in Atlanta, Georgia, and you hit your 34-hour reset while in Nevada, you ain't gonna make it home. Sorry. You might as well sit back in Nevada, pick a nice little spot that you can have everything you need, and sit back and relax for 34 hours, do your reset, and then drive on. Make your delivery or continue going home. And no, you cannot drive home on your 34-hour reset. You can't do that, because where you stop at, you got to start at. So if you stop in Wells, Nevada, and your 34-hour reset starts, that means in Wells, Nevada, you got to start again. Okay? And there's a trick to this, to that scenario. If you have an ELD logging system that is automatically determining every time you start your truck and starts logging, then that means that where you stopped at pretty much has to be within that 1 mile area of where you start at. Okay? If you don't do ELD, then that means that in Wells, now I don't say this is legal, I didn't say this was legal, but in Wells, like we stop here at the Loves, and you decide that you want to go over to the other side of Wells, and there's a Home Depot there, and that's where you start at, it's still in Wells, and that's what it's going to pick up. Okay, that you're still in Wells, Nevada. All right. Downside to that happens to be is that the ELD gives you more jobs to do, more capabilities of doing more jobs. So you got to figure out if that's what you want. Okay. But in either case, once again, the number one reason for leaving this job is closer to home, working closer to home. Second reason is because the finances didn't work out the way you wanted them to. If you're not good and strict about what you eat and what you do out on the road, then you're going to spend money. Okay? McDonald's is going to cost you $12 to $15. Yeah. Big Macs are $6. French fries are $4. There's your 10. Now you get a drink. You're already above 10. And then you add the tax. And depending on where you're at, that tax is a freaking killer sometimes. That tax can be as much as 20%. Yeah. You're used to your little 6% here or there. You get out here on this road, you find out there's some taxes that are freaking killer. Okay? Even on food. You go into the grocery store and the Walmarts, and you're used to buying groceries, a loaf of bread and sandwich meat and things like that, and or chicken breasts or something like that already in a lunch bag, and that's still considered as food, but not ready to eat food. You can, or even a package of hot dogs, and some places have food tax, and I'm surprised about that too. But in either case, but that's what the second reason is because of they did not calculate the finances the way they thought they were going to. Okay. Insurance happens to be a killer on some people. All right. When you do insurance on your truck, if you're doing towaway, remember, you got to get bill laden insurance. That's going to cost you, if you get it from the company, most of the time it's going to cost you about $175 to $200 per month. Besides your regular insurance, which is another $100 on most of these trucks, if not a little bit more. So you're looking at $300 right there, right out of the bat, per month that you're going to spend on that. So you got to make that $300. And then if you got a truck payment, you got to add that up to it. If you buy a $50,000 truck, you got a $1,000 payment. There's $1,300 that you're going to have to pay, that you're going to have to make before you start making a profit. And then you got to calculate your food and all that good stuff. Okay? and your maintenance to your truck, because you're used to doing an oil change on a diesel truck every 4 to 6 months, because it's 7 to 9,000 miles, and when you're at home, you don't equal that. When you're out here, you equal that in a month. Oh, that means you got an oil change. Some places $400, some places $200. Okay, it all depends on where you go to do it. But that's the point, is that you've got to literally put all these calculations in and know what you're getting into. Okay. I'm not trying to scare somebody from doing this. I'm trying to be realistic on what it takes to do this job. Some of the other reasons that were given was the factor that some people thought it was boring. Once again, you're choosing a job that you're going to sit and drive for 8 hours to 10 hours a day. It's just you and a steering wheel, and you're having a conversation with yourself, like I'm doing right now in this video. But yeah, so that's what you've got to put out there also, is that this is not a job that you're going to have a lot of social time. Now, yes, you can talk to people over the phone and all that good stuff, but some of those people are going to get tired of you talking to them. Okay, just to let you know. So just be prepared. They'll be like, oh, I gotta go. Oh, I gotta go. Oh, I gotta go. Yep, you gotta go. I got nothing to do except talk. I'm driving. But don't get caught on the phone without a headpiece or something to that effect, so that way your hands free and all that good stuff. And the last reason for people to choose to leave is they really didn't understand everything that goes into doing this job. They thought they were just driving. Well, you got to inspect the vehicles, you got to go through and do all the hookups, and you got to do everything that you're supposed to do for this vehicle. Some companies have more rules or more policies, let's put it that way, more policies than the other. And with that being said, that means that you've got to follow their guidelines of policies. Okay. And for those of you that know me, knows that my first rule of life is every policy, every rule, every law, everything that's written is written for a reason. And it's up to you to make sure you interpret it for the proper reason and follow it to a point. Okay. There are rules out there, laws, guidelines that have bending areas. Not all of them, but they do have some bending areas. Not breaking areas, just bending. So make sure you pay attention to that. I'm not going to give you examples because then I'll get myself in trouble. Be realistic. I'm not doing that. But yes. All right. So there's some reasons why people have chosen to leave doing this job. And this job does have a revolving door. It doesn't matter which company you go to. There's a lot of people leaving, a lot of people coming on, and that's just the way it works. Okay. The number one reason to get deleased, and the word deleased, I found that fascinating because when I was typing it out in WordPerfect, now you're dating how old I am, and Microsoft Word, spell checker has no recollection of what delease is. It doesn't show up. It's nowhere near in any of the spell check capabilities, and it tells you it's wrong, which I find fascinating. In either case, reason for getting deleased. Number one reason is damage. Don't matter which company you're going to, that's their number one reason for you getting deleased. Okay. Sorry, I got an itch. Um, Damage. Most of the companies have a $1,500 um, bank that you make and put money in to equal up $1,500. They'll let you put in more if you wish. Um, and that's to cover for whenever you have an incident, an accident, and it's your fault. Okay. And note this, it's used instantly when the accident happens or incident happens, and then it's determined whether it's your fault or not before it's put back. Okay. All right. And that's on most of the companies. Now, you cut a corner too sharp and you scrape the edge of the unit. You pull away from the fuel pumps and turn the corner too sharp and you have tail swing, and that tail swings out and hits that pole or hits that pump. I guarantee you just spent more than $1,500, because the EPA gets involved, and the EPA starts off at $5,000 or $6,000 right off the bat. Okay, I've dealt with that before in a previous employment. Wasn't even on me; it was for somebody else. But because I was a safety coordinator, I was instantly called and had to go through and deal with the fuel station and all that good stuff. And the EPA was called out, and they charged the fuel station some outrageous amount of money for their 25 minutes of coming out and stating that no fuel was dropped, so therefore, or not enough fuel was dropped to equal up to an EPA report, a certain type of report. So they just had a minor incident report, but it cost over $5,000. So yeah, in either case, that's the number one reason for getting deleased from the company. In other words, you're getting fired without saying you're fired, because you're a subcontractor. And there are plenty of people out there that says I fight this and all that good stuff, and I'm going to fight this, and they can't fire me like this. And they didn't fire you, they just deleased you. They terminated your contract because one of the clauses in there, and I forget where, but yet, and I've read it, no, on at least with Horizon, they have the right to delease you for anything they find in their books that says they're in the right of deleasing you, which means that if they don't feel like they have enough work for you, they can delease you. If they feel like they have so much work and you're just not keeping up to par with what they want, they can delease you. They have all the cards holding. And yes, there's plenty of people out there that thinks that they can go in and create lawsuits and all that good stuff. But that's the reason why independent truck drivers don't have a major union. No, because they can't get enough to say unionize this, and can't unionize something that's not employment. It's subcontracting. All right. And that gets into a whole nother ball of wax. And like I said, this whole video was going to be controversial, so y'all can start crying the blues and tell me how I'm wrong about so many different things. But in either case, and I'll listen, I'll look it up, and you may be right in some of the ways I'm saying this. But in either case, companies have the capabilities of deleasing you, and then you're going to spend a lot of money to fight them over deleasing you. And what will you gain if you wasn't even put back in? The same $1.50 a mile. Okay. So just remember, you gotta look at the outcome, the bigger picture. What are you going to get out of it? No, when you start talking about lawsuits. The other feature of getting deleased, okay, happens to be one company came across and said they delease you if you have more than so many moving violations or so many points in moving violations right off the bat. So not following the law, passing the weight stations and getting inspected and failing your inspections, getting a ticket for speeding. And that speeding thing, you wouldn't believe how many times people are speeding. And the funny part happens to be is that there's a few of them that are getting speeding tickets while pulling a unit. And I don't understand that. Because when you're pulling a unit, you really want to pull that unit at the sweet spot of your vehicle so that way you have the least amount of miles per gallon. Okay? Or the most amount of miles per gallon and the least fuel usage. Let me say that correctly. Most amount of miles per gallon and the least fuel usage. Okay? So, like in this Cruise America that we're taking to California, this guy right here, one day sat at 10.4 miles to the gallon. The next day it sat at 7.9. And once again, now it's back up to 10.6. Okay, for today. So that's where you got to sit back and calculate what's the sweet spot and where does it work at. All right. We'll get into why you have different mileage per gallon per days and so forth because of, and simple thing happens to be the easy answer is wind, mountains, valleys, flat land, so forth, hills. Hills are different than mountains. So that's what you got to really consider. But yes, so take consideration that all these things calculate toward your miles per gallon. When it comes down to it, it's not how many miles per gallon you got per unit. It's not how many miles per gallon you got per day. It's going to come down to how many miles per gallon did you get over the quarter, and you compare the next quarter, and then eventually you're going to compare year to year. Okay, so just note that's how this works. All right. And that's what's going to make your determination on, once again, whether or not you're making money. Your tires are rolling, miles per gallon. So, but back on track, what I was talking about. Sorry, I digress so many times. Speeding, moving violations, running a stop sign. And running a stop sign meaning that you didn't stop behind the white line, that's classified as running a stop sign when you stop past that white line. Note that. You got to stop before that white line and then inch yourself forward. You can pass that white line after you stop before it and stop again. There's no law that stops you from doing that because you're just getting a better view of the traffic. All right? But stop before the white line because otherwise that's a moving violation of running a stop sign. Yep, been through that. I've not had this done to me, but yet I've had conversations with somebody else in reference to this, cutting somebody off in traffic. Okay, so you moved from the right lane because that's where you should be driving, is in the right lane. I know, controversial. Everybody's going to argue with me here. You should be driving in the right lane unless you're passing. You move to the left to go around to somebody. As you go past them and you move back to the right, you can get a moving violation ticket for cutting somebody off if you do that too soon. And I don't know why 18-wheelers don't get in trouble for this more often because they do it a hell of a lot of times. But actually, the rule happens to be, and this is just a guidance, this is not written anywhere that I can find, but it's going to be up to the same thing as almost classifying tailgating. No, there's no actual rule that I can find or anything written that says how far you have to be behind somebody to be classified as not tailgating. But the thing of it is that if the officer feels like you cut them off, and what creates that happens to be the officer sitting behind them and sees their brake light come on, because I was talking to an officer about this. No, that's where I got this information from. If he sees their brake lights come on and sees their nose go down, that means you cut them off, to his opinion, and he will pull you over for it. Now, that was just that one officer, but that doesn't mean every officer's that way, but maybe that's something you may consider. Okay, that's a moving violation. All right. So just note, there's all types of moving violations you can get in trouble for. I know when I went through driver's ed, the first thing my driver's ed teacher said, when you go to get in front of somebody, you make sure you can see their grill in your rear view mirror. Now, very true, we're pulling RVs and things like that, so we can't see rear view mirror. But you get the idea how far you should be to actually make that pass to get in front of somebody. Okay. Um, and it's worked for me all my life, so that's the reason why I bring it up. All right. So there's the second reason why you get de-leased. Somebody made a comment about this, and I'm just going to put it out there. You could get de-leased because you're not a good fit for them. So in other words, the contract company, Horizon, Bennett, Indiana Transport, whoever it was, Starfleet, whoever, and you, the subcontractor, don't get along in conversation. You're constantly at each other or at a negative point with each other. Whether you're raising your voices or not, but you're just not getting along. You're not working as a team. They may come across and de-lease you. They have every right. Not a good fit. So just note, that's one of the things. You still have to worry about those scenarios. So these are some of the things in reference to doing this job. Alrighty, I've taken up over 30 minutes of your time. I've digressed a lot. There's a lot of information in this. I may break it down. I don't know. I'll listen to it and see it. I know it's got a transcript that'll give me a lot of different things. So we'll see how this goes. Peace, love, and jelly beans, people. Like, dislike, like again, and subscribe, and notifications bell. There are other people that's doing these videos, and I'm going to start getting a list of those people and start putting them down below. So that way I can promote some of those people, because they have a lot of information about this job too. But take a good look. Think about it. 2024, do you really want to get into RV transport? Can you handle it? Can you do it? Can you be away from home life? And will you like it? That's all up to you. Benefits behind this? There's plenty of them, and I'm not getting into them right now, but because I'm about to hit 40 minutes. But I will tell you this much. No, the biggest benefit is seeing America, seeing things you would never see if you didn't get out here and go look. And yes, you can go venture and see some of this stuff. Once again, peace, love, and jelly beans, people. Be safe out there.